The fact that it's March already is a little bit scary because where has the time gone? Normally January feels like 3 years long and February is always short, but we're already here in March. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elise. I talk all things elevated living, conscious consumption, and being mindful of the impact that we have on the planet. And I think personal finance is pretty hand in hand with that. A lot of people have this preconceived notion that sustainability is really expensive, when honestly in the long term, usually it's not. And I feel like sustainability has given me a lot of systems and habits to improve my financial wellness. And I kind of want to spotlight that a little bit more on my channel and show you guys like sustainability not only is good for the planet and yourself and your community, but also most likely your wallet. A little bit about me before we get into my financial reset for March. I'm actually dying to do this. I've been like itching to set a March budget because I haven't actually set a real budget before. We'll get into that in a little bit. But about me, my partner, my fiance, and I moved into this house in the end of November. He put down the down payment and I'm helping split the mortgage, and we're trying to pay off a little bit extra this year and like every year, honestly. And we are fortunate and able to do that in this crazy market because we were able to live with his parents for at least the last few years. And then I moved in after, we had been a little bit more serious dating and saved a ton of money that way. Just acknowledging our privilege there and the helping hand we got along the way. I am currently a fashion production coordinator. I work in New York, but we live in New Jersey, so I do commute pretty often. You'll see that in my budget tracker. I make $67,000 a year, or I'm supposed to gross, but I'm hourly freelance, so it does fluctuate, and you'll see like I do track my overtime, or if I'm away for a trip or something, or there's only a 4-day work week, it does fluctuate. So I don't have that same exact level of stability as a 9-to-5, but I do have the sense of stability as like there is work to do and there are hours to log. My partner is an HR business analyst, and I don't know if I'll be sharing his income. If he feels comfortable, then that's a different story. As of right now, we're treating ourselves as a dual income household in terms of splitting expenses, but we do still have separate goals in mind when it comes to our individual retirement plans and how much we're investing in the stock market generally. So those things do differ from, him to myself. So I do want to preface this video with it's technically dual income and I'm not affording things all by myself, and things are split between us. I have been itching and dying to make a March budget because for the past 3 months, I've just been tracking expenses, which is fun. I'll do that weekly. I'll sit down and kind of log everything that I can. But this month in particular, March is special because I've done the tracking, I've done the groundwork, and now we're getting into the actual budgeting piece of it and setting up sinking funds and looking at retirement. And I have been waiting for this moment, honestly. It's been great tracking because you do need a jumping off point before you build a budget. Otherwise, you're holding yourself accountable to things that you really can't speak to if you don't know how much you spend on groceries, how much you actually spend on transit, or what your electric bill looks like. If you don't have that tracked beforehand, it is very difficult to set a realistic budget, and you might be over in a lot of places, you might be under. So I definitely recommend doing the groundwork of setting everything up first. And now that we've done that, here we are. So I'm currently building out this annual plan tab, which is where we're starting. So I don't know, I'm just like very not confused about how to budget because like Artan and I, we do like share income and expenses, but at the same time, we don't because we're not married yet. Like we will be very soon. So I guess we could start looking into joint accounts, but I don't know. I just don't know how people like have separate but together expenses and income, because that's kind of where we're at right now. Like we are in the process of like merging and getting our lives to be like all on one page. So it's a little bit different. Like we don't have a joint checking or joint savings or anything like that. We're just kind of like bringing our separate incomes to our shared expenses, if that makes sense. So I guess, I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna come back to this annual plan, but you can see like I've started to kind of build it out a little bit with what the planned part is like the budget for the month, and the actual will give you back like what you've actually spent, if you're over, if you're under. I'm really planning to like beef up this tracker and really make it something that maybe you guys, if you want like a very intro budgeting basic template, like this would be for you, because I'm not the kind of person that loves all the dashboards and all the graphs and all the fancy tables, and like I just need something that I will not be intimidated by and go into and track every month. So I'm working on this, and potentially will be something that you guys can use as well. So this is the annual plan tab. We're gonna come back to her. I think this is really what I want to be my actual budget tracking, and just putting my budget for the month planned in the planned column. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys an overview of what I've kind of been working with before, just to show you. So like, I found this personal monthly budget template from Smartsheet online, and like you can tell I just didn't really use it, didn't really love it, and then created this entirely different like December 25 expenses. And January, I thought I was gonna use this budget, didn't, went tracked expenses. And then for February, same thing, didn't really use it, didn't really touch it. And then we have our February expenses. For some reason, this was a very expensive month. I'm not gonna lie, I actually do know why it was an expensive month. So my phone plan, I actually got off of my mom's phone plan and onto my own, and just paid up front for the year, which definitely saved, I mean, maybe like a month worth, like got a month free if you do the math that way. But on top of that, so I didn't leave her to foot my phone bill, I also paid off what was left of this phone, and then, you know, went on my merry way. So I paid her. So that already right there is like over $600 for those two expenses. Now, the way I have this set up is I have drop down categories. They're not all over the place. They're very like intuitive of things that you would spend month to month, and just tracking them in that way. But I also have this pivot table set up of the category and the sum of the transaction amount. So you could see bills right here is over $5,000 of our monthly expenses, which is kind of crazy, but it does track for like the higher energy consumption months of the winter. It's been freezing, so we've used a lot of gas. We've used a decent bit of electric, and I'm not sure how that's gonna go in the summer, but we'll see. Our next most expensive category would be furniture. So we do have a monthly installment of our furniture credit card of $500. So that way we pay it off within the promotional term limit and not have any interest after. So the promo was 20 months free, 0% interest. So in order to meet that 20 months and not go over and then have to pay interest on the card statement, we are doing installments of $500 all the way until then. So that's that. And then there's like another $64 for just things we've picked up from Facebook Marketplace, which usually we pay for those in cash. Groceries is next up with $438.50. Honestly, a pretty good month for groceries. I feel like we budget like $600, but we haven't really hit that. So that tells me that that's something we can drop down a little bit, maybe save a little bit there. Home supplies was at $419.16. These are things that just kind of pop up all over the place. We're talking like cleaning supplies, we're talking little gadgets and gizmos for the home. Yeah, mostly just things that the house needs, like maintenance basically. And then travel, it's been a pretty travel heavy month. I paid for a bachelorette trip I'm going on. I paid for our flight tickets that Arton and I are taking to visit my nephew. So things that just pop up, and I want to address this in terms of sinking funds, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but that's something I'm really looking forward to setting up and having, so that way I don't feel guilty about spending this money and it's already reserved there for me to pull from and pay for. Now you'll see I have my spending percentages little pie chart. This is also not very polished, but it's nice for me to visualize, okay, what are we spending most of our money on? It's obviously going to bills, but I love that it breaks it down as a percentage, because right now it's showing 70% is bills. That is a really high number, and financially like is not recommended. People say you should have like 50, 30, 20 split. I've actually talked about this before. 50% should just be like essentials, 30% should be discretionary spending, and 20% saving/investing. So I would love to see this bill number get down, and if not, what we could likely do is increase our income. So those are kind of our options right now. So going back to the annual plan tab, the essentials category is broken out into housing, groceries, electric, gas, water slash sewer, transit, and phone plan. These are things that, because we've been tracking them for the past 3 months, I feel very confident what we're gonna shake out to. What I'm gonna do actually is just run this as a household plan, because that's what it is. We're a unit, we're a team. It doesn't make sense for me to put like half of everything and then only my income. It just doesn't give you like the full financial picture of the household. So that's how we're gonna go about it. This number is the monthly mortgage payment that gets taken out automatically because of the way closing works and how closing costs work. Your first year of insurance and your first year of property tax is paid like upfront. So it's not something we really have to roll into our monthly plan, but at the same time, we are targeting to pay off more. We're targeting 2 extra payments a year. So instead of having those like lump sum just at the end of the year, we're rolling it into the annual budget plan. Also, what I want to do is have these actual, instead of them being hard keyed in, I want them to pull formulaically into the column, but we'll get there sometime. First things first, March is going to be a different plan than what I kind of already sort of mapped out for February. I am going to go ahead and input all of the actual spending categories and what we actually spent in February, and then from there, that gives me a really good launching off point for March. Housing, I am gonna have to adjust the way I've been inputting this because I've been inputting it like my half, but I want to comprehensively look at the financial picture. And then everything else I was putting as like the full amount. So I don't know. I just like go back and forth between what I want to do, and I don't stay consistent and pick one, which is not great, but we're working on it. $438.50. It's really not bad. Our electric, I do love a good filter. Our electric. So that one was not logged. This is why you always make sure you log your expenses. Electric, make sure we have that in. Okay, annual plan. So we spent $184.72. Gas, $408.43. Most of that is delivery charges. It's outrageous. Sewer is also something that gets calculated quarterly, so it might be something that I just break into monthly chunks and kind of have the money set aside, and then when it gets pulled, it gets pulled. Okay, transit. How much did I actually spend on transit this month? $113.50. Phone plan, yeah, I spent way more. Now let's talk about extra spending. Travel was also very expensive. I spent a good bit for plane tickets and trip accommodations. Clothing, how much? $228.97, great. Beauty, yep. Entertainment, we didn't really spend any money doing anything, like going out anywhere. Dining out, that looks right. Oh, $147.21. Coffee, $13. Okay. Subscriptions, let's see. I know Spotify charged me, so $23.24. We also have a YMCA subscription, which again might need to be broken out into monthly chunks, even though it's a one-time annual like payment. That could be another sinking fund project. Gifts/donations. Yes, I sent someone a gift. Decor, $14. That sounds like home scents. Home supplies. Okay, so this is where I need to like clean up and make sure all of my categories align. That way it's easy for me to just like look at. What do we spend at Home Goods? I can't remember what that was. Oh wait, I remember spending stuff at Goodwill. What did I categorize that as? Furniture. Home supplies. It's very expensive. Home supplies, $419.16. Okay, I'm gonna subtract the $37.28. Okay, $381.88. Did not spend any money on hotels or Airbnbs. Okay, then we have like the income portion of things that are investments, savings, and income. Again, I'm like not really sure how to tackle parts of these, but they're here, even if we don't touch them right now. I think what I'm mostly using this for is investing, and then also setting up my sinking funds. So I did put my investment amounts that I planned and actualized. So what I have automated is my Roth IRA. That's like a tax deferred account. So whatever growth happens there, when I take it out eventually at like 59 and a half, I think, I won't be taxed, God willing. And then I have my 401k, which are also automatic deductions from my paycheck. I have a general investment account, which I haven't really put into. I might revisit that. And then I have my REITs, which is my real estate investment trusts. So I do invest here and there, just like chump change basically, but I like to keep that going. Then we have the savings category: emergency, travel, home projects, mortgage, extra. So like I mentioned before, we have been paying more towards our mortgage, and that's already like rolled into our automatic payments, but it would be nice to have like a sinking fund. But before that, I really think it is imperative to have a travel sinking fund, because we are traveling quite a lot. I have like at least 3 more trips in mind that I think it's more worthwhile right now, since they're just a bit more immediate, to have those funds covering travel versus paying extra for the mortgage, even though like both would be amazing. And then yes, we have the income section, which is a little bit bare right now. And then what I want to add after is like kind of overall look at things of like what you planned for and what was actualized, and if you're over or under budget, or if you have like not as much money as you were planning for at the end of the month, or if you have anything like left over to allocate more towards investments or savings or whatever. All of that in February is actualized. So that's great. The one constant I can count on is that mortgage payment being the exact same every single month. So we're gonna keep that. Groceries. So historically speaking, we haven't peaked over $4.50 for this year. That feels like a little restrictive though, to cut it off right at $4.50. So I am still gonna plan for $500. March is a little bit of a longer month, so it could be that. We're also gonna start off our March with a grocery shop. We do every Sunday, but one of the ways I really love to save money is do pickups. That way you're not meandering around the store, adding things to cart, hungry without a list, whatever. Electric has also been pretty consistent for the past 2 months at $184, $185. So let's go ahead and plan for $185. Gas has been consistently expensive. So I don't know, we've done a really good job of kind of like optimizing our home for heating and like retaining heat. And I think we really figured it out. We had this one room that's just mostly windows in the back, and we've put a door between like the kitchen and that room. So I really think that is gonna help us with heat, but I'd rather over budget than under budget. So I am just gonna go for $400 and we'll see. Water and sewer. This is a bill that's kind of a question mark. We don't think it should be that high since we're only responsible for like the end of November until now, but we have a bill that's showing like all of October. So we kind of want to figure that out, but I want to like safely budget maybe like $225 for water sewer. I mean, I know it's not like a monthly thing, it's more of a quarterly bill, but again, I would rather over budget than under budget. Health care. I don't have any doctor visits planned. Not to say that won't change, but right now let's go 0. Transit. Okay, I feel really good about that $120 amount that I budgeted because I did hit $113.50. So let's go $120. And then my phone plan, I'm gonna put a 0 because I should not owe anything for my phone plan. That is taken care of. Extra spending, March travel. Do I have any travel upcoming? I'm gonna put a conservative $300, or no, let me put $600 because I have a friend's wedding in October and I have our reception dinner in early November. So if I can book those flights early and like save money, love that. Clothing. I really shouldn't be spending money on clothing, but I think we love a little Depop shop here and there. So I'm gonna give us $100 to spend on clothing, possibly. Beauty 0, I'm doing my no buy. Entertainment, I don't know, maybe I put $100 here, we'll see. Dining out, we haven't really spent any money there, but it'd be nice to give ourselves a date night, so let's do 100. Coffee, I haven't spent any money. I think, actually, no, that's not true. I am responsible for the $3 in this budget, but I do love a coffee when I go to the office, and that's about $5. So I'm gonna go $20 for coffee. Let's double it for our son as well. See, this is how I'm thinking. I'm like, I know what I spend money on in my expenses, but like, I'm not like a hawk monitoring everything that he spends money on, but I can see like our budget, what we both spend money on. So I think I'm just like reframing things in a new way for like the both of us. Subscriptions, I don't know why it's 23. Oh yeah. Okay, let's do $25 for subscriptions, gifts / donations. I think I might put a 20 here. Why not? Decor, I know we're gonna be picking up something for the house very soon, like tomorrow, and then we do want to get one more like cabinet. So I'm gonna over budget for this and say $250. Hopefully nothing crazy. Home supplies. I don't know why this category gets away from us so much. Like in January I planned for $500 and then we spent $97, but in February I planned $200 and we spent $381. So this is something I like don't fully have a handle of, but let me over budget and say $275. Hotel / Airbnb in March, I won't be paying for anything for March. Oh, I just realized for clothing, I do have a bridesmaid's dress that I need to purchase. So I'm gonna up this to $325 because I'm expecting that to be $200, and then I'm not sure about like shipping and tax, so want some buffer there. Investing, I am consistent with my Roth IRA investments. This is something, I don't know, I think investing accounts, like it is fair to have separate because we individually can both contribute like the limit, but when we're married, we'll be lumping it into one account, or will we? I don't know. I don't know if you can even roll them over or like how that works. Like maybe we'll just have to keep them separate. I'm not really sure. 401k, yeah, I'm gonna stick with 120 because at my minimum, if I'm not working any overtime, I think it takes out a little bit over $30. So I'd rather just stick with like the lower conservative amount. If I invest more, I invest more. General investing, I am starting to invest $10 a week. So we'll put her at 40. REITs, I'm not planning to have any extra money to invest, so I am gonna put that at 0. Savings, emergency savings is already like built up, so I don't need to continue to put into that. What I would like to do is save $100 a month for travel. So we're gonna put that towards the travel sinking fund. As of right now, I'm like in my mind mentally starting at 0 and have 0 saved for travel, even though I'm spending a lot. Not great. Home projects. I think right now, because we're paying $500 a month for furniture, it doesn't make sense to put pressure on ourselves to also have like home project money. So I am gonna keep that at 0. I have this mortgage extra saving buffer or like plan in here because this is what I need to be contributing for the rest of the year, $360 extra for the rest of the year to the mortgage if we wanna hit our 10K goal, which is lofty. And you know, I am always searching for ways to increase my income and have a little side hustle that never hurt nobody, but at the same time, these things can adjust. We can plan for it, but maybe they don't plan out. Overall, our planned spending is $7,039.84. And then if you add that with investment and savings goals, that gets you to a total of $8,284.84. We'll have to see where we shake out. I feel good about March ahead. I've accounted for events that are coming up, travel that we're going on. I also have my planner in hand so that I could refer back to any upcoming things and plans. So like, let me just double check March again. Normally I put them in my big like overall agenda planner. Right now I don't have anything in here. I do actually need to add travel plans. We're going to Florida to visit my nephew, I mentioned. Super excited for that. So we might want to budget a little bit extra money for our dining out, or since we already have $100 for our dining out and we might not be using it for anything else, it'll most likely go to this trip and like while we're out there. So yeah, so far so good. The only note I have is to buy my bridesmaid's dress this month, and I do have that accounted for. Generally speaking, I feel good about the budget. I feel like the $8,284 $16.84 between the two of us makes sense. And it's also us being able to live and enjoy our life and not like budget ourselves to death and be so restricting. I just feel really good about having like a plan going forward. It makes me feel very prepared. It makes me be able to like know if I can put more money towards one thing or if I'm already over budget. Do I need to start looking at places to cut? Obviously, I think bills is something that is stretching us a little thin, and that is an area that we would like to cut back on. But of course, like the housing budget is gonna stay pretty consistent until we do start to pay more towards the principal. And those are things that like kind of are what they are until they aren't. Again, looking to increase my income is probably gonna be the number one way to do it. Honestly, I realize it doesn't do me much good if I budget everything and then I'm over budget. I have to know how much income I have coming in. So I did go back and add that at the very bottom and total up everything very quickly. So what we're looking at right now is around $8,500 income wise, and that's definitely on the low end. I do expect to have some cash payout from YouTube. I think I'm gonna hit the $100 like threshold. I did add that as income, and then also just me working like the standard solid 40 hours every week, not accounting for any overtime, which is not likely in my industry. So I do have that, and then just the regular W-2 payment from Arton, and then that leaves us with $1,466.16 left to either blow our budget or allocate that money elsewhere. So we'll see what happens there. I also recognize that like this may not entirely be accurate. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, never mind. This makes way more sense. Now accounting for what will be distributed or input into investing and savings, now it's $221.16, which makes a lot more sense, honestly. And again, the Roth IRA payments, if we were to multiply this by 2, I have a feeling we are over budget. Okay, now we're at negative 403.84, considering we're both inputting to the maximum for our Roth. So let's see where we can take out $400. Let's do it. Home supplies, we are already committing to buying a $75 lamp. So let's just do $75. Maybe we don't buy the cabinet this year or this month. Now we're at 203. Let's see, decor. I mean, I guess I could count the lamp as decor and leave our home budget. Oh yeah, maybe I should leave our home budget alone. Make this just 75. Okay, let's see what else. Gifts and donations. I feel like we're fine there. Coffee, dining out, entertainment. I mean, historically, we haven't spent anything for entertainment, but like maybe we'll want to rent a movie. So let's do 25 bucks there. Clothing. Like I said, I do have a bridesmaid's dress to buy, which could very well be $250, but that means like only I can buy a dress this, month. So I don't know how I feel about that. Travel. I'm gonna keep the clothing budget, and I'm actually just gonna maybe like half the travel budget. I mean, I am setting up a sinking fund, but I can't think of any travel that like I would go on that Arton wouldn't be. So it would be like $400 to $600. But that does put us in the clear. So maybe $300 of travel is just a ticket one way, and then we purchase the other way back. I don't really want to touch our essentials. I would way rather over budget for those, but this looks much more accurate. Actually, I mean, I also don't think I should be putting my Roth 401k as like an expense, mainly because this is coming out pre-paycheck. So I also don't know what to do with that, but I am gonna move it. Okay, so that puts us back at $266.16. And I gotta figure out what to do with the 401k situation. I feel good. I like not having too much money left over, because then that just shows like you're not maximizing either via investments or savings. All right, this was a bit choppy, but we made it to the end. Hopefully next reset, I have a bit more structure and it's a bit smoother, but I am working towards those sinking fund goals, and then also paying extra towards the mortgage, which I think is really important. I'm looking forward to next time we do this budget reset together. Hopefully I have this a bit more built out and I can actually offer it to you guys if you want something pretty straightforward. I feel like this budget, the way like I'm looking at it, it's not overwhelming. Like, yes, it's a lot of numbers on a page, but that's kind of what a budget is. And it's a very quick snapshot of like, okay, where am I at? What's happening actually that I've spent so far when you log it weekly? And I'm planning to have things pull in, and it just like, you can look at it and tell where you're in the red and where you're in the green and where you're neutral. So that's basically the plan for it. I'm really excited for March. It's finally gonna be spring. I think we're gonna be outside a lot more. We're gonna be exploring our town finally and just getting into the neighborhood in a whole different way. And I'm really, really excited for that. So stick around if you guys wanna see some vlogs and such. I've been actually posting home vlogs, which have been really fun and kind of like a little video diary journal. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely subscribe down below. You can check out that playlist. Let me know if you liked this kind of budget reset sort of video. I mean, come on. I'm getting really into it lately. Financial health and wellness has been like my new, I'm not gonna say hyperfixation, but one of my new interests in adulthood. Like, it's not really a hobby, but it kind of is, if that makes sense. I love you so very much if you made it to this point in the video, and if you liked it, go ahead and let me know down below. It really helps out the channel. I really hope to catch you in my next video. Until then, don't forget to be kind to yourself, others, and the planet. Bye.